Hello, friends. Welcome back to Page Chewing and welcome back to the read through of the Border Trilogy. Today, we are going to be discussing Cities of the Plain chapters 4, 5, and 6. And we'll be kind of going through, we've been going through the Border Trilogy. This is book 3, week by week. Next week, we'll be discussing chapters 7, 8, and 9. And we'll go through, let's get through it. So chapters 4, 5, and 6, excuse me, were a lot of discussions between Billy and John, because John is all in on Magdalena, and he's in love with her, or at least he thinks he is, and he is, it made me sad, those of you who are reading along, it made me sad to see that he sold his pistol to raise money to hopefully buy Magdalena back from Eduardo. That made me sad, seeing him sell the gun, because I believe we saw that gun in the first book, the history in that gun, and it seems a little bit out of place between the two of them. I would imagine Billy would be the one to kind of fall for someone like this. I'm surprised that it's John after Alejandra from book 1, but either way, it is, it's one of those things that happen. So he's trying to, raise money. He's even considering selling his horse. I love the kind of the very matter of fact way everyone talks in this book, and just especially when they're at the auction, and he says something like, "Well, where do you think he's from?" It's like, "Well, I think he's from where he says he's from." Like, okay, I just love that. I just think it's very kind of, I don't know, instead of just kind of, yeah, he said he's from there, so he's from there. I just love that about kind of the way that people talk and the characters and the way they banter back and forth. Very matter of fact, and kind of, yeah, he said he's from here, so he's from there. There wasn't a ton in these chapters, and while I enjoyed them, I was kind of disappointed I didn't add another chapter to this week, because I really wanted to continue on these chapters, because it left us off on kind of a cliffhanger at the end of chapter 6. So the plan is to have Billy go down to Eduardo and buy Magdalena back. Eduardo does not think that's a good idea, because it's, he sees her as property, not as a person. And the horrific things that happened to Magdalena, I mean, it just makes your stomach turn. The experiences she's had, being sold off at 13, kind of being passed around and being, abused, and awful, just awful. And the sad thing is, this still happens more than we'd like to admit. But seeing, hearing her story, and it makes you root for John, because you want him to rescue her, to get her out of that situation. The plan does not go well. Eduardo does not want to give up Magdalena. He kind of knows who John is. He knows why Billy's there. He knows that it's not Billy who wants to buy her back, and that, I think, will come later, because if Eduardo knows who they are, even if John is able to rescue her, something tells me Eduardo is not going to take that too well. And if he knows where they work and knows where they live and knows everything about them, don't think he's going to let that slide. It doesn't seem like the type of person to let something like that go. So something tells me that'll come into play later. But like I said, a lot of kind of back and forth with the characters this week, a lot of banter back and forth. Billy being kind of a smart ass with John, and, oh, is this the honeymoon suite? Is this the, this is where the, oh, well, this is going to be great. Is she going to cook on that stove? That kind of thing. Just being just kind of ribbing John over his choices. But yeah, all of that was all that was fun. The horses with the 2 brains, and that, all that stuff. I mean, I got a laugh out of all that. That was really great. But as far as story goes, I didn't think there was a ton to really sink your teeth into. I mean, it is setting up either a rescue of Magdalena, or him somehow convincing Eduardo to buy Magdalena back, which I don't think will happen. So this is all gearing up to a showdown of some kind. I was really disappointed I couldn't continue because the end of chapter 6 was, I mean, it leaves us off on just the edge of something happening. Or at least that's kind of what it feels like with John preparing this house and getting, preparing this place ready for Magdalena. He's preparing to have her there. So he must have some kind of plan. And, you know, for these chapters, that's pretty much the gist of it, other than the banter, which, like I said, I really liked. Banter was great. Story wise, there wasn't a ton. So I wasn't sure what else to really bring this week. There wasn't, you know, not a whole lot else sticks out for me other than Billy's conversation with Eduardo, which was really, really tense. John preparing everyone that he's bringing Magdalena, or at least getting permission, getting a plan together for them to have a place to live. Some from after what Magdalena's been through, I don't know that she'd be willing to kind of, I don't know, is she willing, is she, I know she's telling John she'll marry him, but how much of is that something that just for her to get out of the situation, or is that, is she just trying to desperately to get out, or does she really care for John? And it's hard to tell. I don't know. So for John's sake, let's hope that she does, because he's risking a lot getting her out. So yeah, it was a short one this week, but like I said, there just wasn't a ton. And I had this, just going through these chapters and kind of gathering my thoughts. I just couldn't think of anything else that really stuck out to me other than just the, John's plan. He's preparing to get Magdalena back, really going down to talk to Eduardo. The auction, selling horses. The horses, do they have two brains? Are they smarter than fish? Which I think it'd be safe to say they're much smarter than fish. But all that was entertaining. All that was great. It just not a lot to really for discussion. So McCarthy he's so far for me, he's been really good at finishing stories. So something tells me we're in for conclusion, especially with the Border trilogy. It has to have a conclusion that is just, really is a home run. I have faith in McCarthy's endings, unlike a lot of other authors. So let's see how it goes. But next week we will be breaking down chapters 7, 8, and 9. I hope you're reading along with me. And if you have any thoughts on these chapters that I missed, or anything that kind of stood out for you, there's a link down below to send a message to me directly, or you can join our forums, pagetoon.com, and come and say hello, and we'll discuss it there. But yeah, so I think that's it for this week, and hope all of you are having a great day. Thank you for reading along with me, and I'm sure I know that these chapters have been a little, not a ton in the story department. It is building towards something, so I'm confident that we'll get a satisfying conclusion. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited that you're reading along with. We'll talk to everyone very soon.